Please be seated. We are starting in 2 minutes. Please be seated. We are starting in 2 minutes. We are starting in 1 minute. Please be seated.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is our great pleasure to welcome you to Riyadh, the capital of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The city takes pride in serving as a dynamic hub for dialogue, and for pioneering digital regulation. From this very land, we inspire and empower the future, where the world connects, innovates, and advances regulation. Please rise for the national anthem. Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us now embark upon our journey with a captivating visual presentation that explores the features of our destination and the pillars of our gathering at this distinguished global forum, which has stood for more than a quarter of a century. This will be followed by an opening ceremony that celebrates Saudi heritage.
Here begins a journey of impact. And grows with no limits. Reaching the hands of a doctor to bring hope. A hand soldier, guarding his nation with pride. A teacher, shaping minds. An entrepreneur, creating new possibilities. To every profession, to every human. With a shared vision and innovative regulation, we move forward today to shape a more creative future and a world that fueled with innovation. In Riyadh, the world connects, the world innovates, the world regulates.
Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your valuable contributions to this vital platform, which promises to fulfill our vision for this year as we look forward, together, to regulation for sustainable digital development. This is the continuation of an enduring effort that spans 25 years of the Global Symposium for Regulators. And now, let us welcome His Excellency, the Governor of the Communications, Space and Technology Commission, Engineer Haitham Al-Ohali, to share with us his remarks guiding our course towards a future of sustainable digital development.
أصحاب السمو، أصحاب المعالي، معالي السيدة دورين بوغدن مارتن الأمين العام للاتحاد الدولي للاتصالات، السيد الدكتور كوزموس زافازافا مدير مكتب التنمية، السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أرحب بكم في بلدكم الثاني المملكة العربية السعودية بمناسبة انعقاد الندوة العالمية لمنظمي الاتصالات، والتي تكتسب هذا العام بعداً خاصاً بمرور 25 عاماً على انطلاقها، متزامنة ذكرى مرور 160 عاماً على تأسيس الاتحاد الدولي للاتصالات. واليوم في عصر الذكاء الاصطناعي أمامنا فرصة ذهبية لتشكيل مستقبل البشرية لل160 عاماً القادمة، مستندين على نجاحاتنا وجهودنا المشتركة التي تكللت بربط أكثر من ثلثي البشرية حتى يومنا هذا. ومع ذلك، وعلى الرغم من التقدم الكبير خلال ال16 عقداً الماضية، لا تزال هناك تحديات وعقبات كبيرة يجب علينا معالجتها بشكل عاجل، حيث ما زال 2.6 مليار شخص خارج الاتصال وخارج العالم الرقمي، وما زال العالم يعاني من تباين على مستوى القدرات والتنظيم وتكاليف الوصول للعالم الرقمي. ومن هذا المنطلق، ومواصلة للدور الريادي الذي تقوم به المملكة العربية السعودية، نعلن اليوم بالشراكة مع الاتحاد الدولي للاتصالات عن خارطة طريق جديدة لربط البشرية وتقديم حلول مبتكرة ميسورة التكاليف لاغتنام الفرص في عصر الذكاء الاصطناعي وتحقيق الشمولية والرفاه الاقتصادي والاجتماعي، خاصة للدول النامية. لقد أظهرت الدراسة التي قدمتها المملكة العربية السعودية بالشراكة مع الاتحاد الدولي للاتصالات عن حاجة العالم إلى استثمار ما بين 2.6 و 2.8 تريليون دولار لسد الفجوة الرقمية على 4 مستويات، هي الربط والبنية التحتية، والفجوة في القدرات، والفجوة في تكاليف الوصول، والفجوة في السياسات والتنظيمات. وبالنظر إلى هذه الدراسة، فإن العالم يحتاج إلى حوالي 1.7 تريليون من أصل 2.8 تريليون دولار لسد الفجوة في مجال الربط والبنية التحتية وحدها، وهذا الرقم هو أعلى ب3 أضعاف من الدراسة السابقة، مما يعني ضرورة تضافر الجهود الدولية ومشاركة الخبرات للوصول إلى مجتمعات رقمية تتسم بالشمولية. السيدات والسادة، إيماناً بأهمية التنمية الاجتماعية والاقتصادية المستدامة، وبدعم من مولاي خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز حفظه الله، وسمو سيدي ولي العهد صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير محمد بن سلمان حفظه الله، نجدد المملكة التزام المملكة بمواصلة جهودها الدولية كعضو فاعل في الاتحاد، ودعم كل الجهود الرامية لإيجاد حلول تتجاوز الطرق التقليدية وتتحدى النماذج الحالية لنشر البنى التحتية، سواء من خلال ربط السماء بالأرض عبر شبكات الأقمار الاصطناعية أو إعادة تصور البنية التحتية الرقمية بما يتواكب مع عصر الذكاء الاصطناعي. ونفخر في المملكة العربية السعودية بقصص النجاح التي حققناها في مجالات الاقتصاد الرقمي والذكاء الاصطناعي ومراكز البيانات والحكومة الرقمية ضمن مستهدفات رؤية المملكة 2030، حيث ساهم دعم القيادة الرشيدة في ترسيخ مكانة المملكة كمركز إقليمي وعالمي للتقنية والابتكار، ولتبلغ بذلك مساهمة الاقتصاد الرقمي ما نسبته 15% من الناتج المحلي الإجمالي في انعكاس واضح للنمو المتسارع الذي يشهده قطاع الاتصالات وتقنية المعلومات، والذي يعد اليوم أكبر سوق للاتصالات والتقنية بالمنطقة، مدفوعاً باستثمارات نوعية من القطاع الخاص المحلي والدولي. إن الاستثمار في الإنسان وتنمية قدراته يمثل محوراً أساسياً رئيسياً في رؤية المملكة 2030، ولذلك فقد عززت المملكة ريادتها الإقليمية بصفتها أكبر تكتل للمواهب الرقمية بأكثر من 380 ألف وظيفة نوعية في القطاع التقني، كما ارتفعت نسبة مشاركة المرأة في القطاع من 7% عام 2018 إلى أكثر من 35% اليوم، متفوقة على نسبة مشاركة المرأة في دول مجموعة ال20 ومتوسط الاتحاد الأوروبي. السيدات والسادة، إن تهيئة وتطوير البنية التحتية الرقمية وتزويدها بأحدث التقنيات العالمية بشكل عملي وفعال وبأسلوب تنظيمي رقمي مبتكر يتواكب مع المتغيرات المتسارعة من حولنا جعل المملكة العربية السعودية تتبوأ مكانة متقدمة بين دول مجموعة ال20 في مؤشر التنظيم الرقمي KAICC Regulators Tracker، وكذلك وصولها لمستوى قيادي في مؤشر النضج التنظيمي الرقمي G5 Benchmark، وذلك وفقاً للاتحاد الدولي للاتصالات. كما أطلقنا بالشراكة مع الاتحاد الدولي للاتصالات برنامج لرفع النضج الرقمي التنظيمي في أكثر من 100 دولة، للتأكيد على أن التنظيم الشامل ليس عائقاً أمام الابتكار، بل هو قائم على التعاون والشراكة لتحقيق مستقبل رقمي شامل ومستدام للجميع. إن انعقاد هذه الندوة العالمية لمنظمي الاتصالات لهذا العام في الرياض تحت شعار التنظيم من أجل التنمية الرقمية المستدامة يمثل فرصة مهمة لتعزيز التعاون الدولي في مجال تنظيم الاتصالات والتقنية، حيث أنه يجتمع في رحابه صناع السياسات والهيئات التنظيمية والخبراء والشركات من أكثر من 190 دولة. ختاماً، أجدد الترحيب بكم جميعاً في رحاب المملكة العربية السعودية، وأتطلع إلى أن تكون هذه الندوة محطة فارقة في مسيرة التعاون الدولي للتنظيم الرقمي التشاركي، وأن تسهم في إيجاد حلول مبتكرة لبناء مستقبل رقمي أكثر شمولاً واستدامة للبشرية. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
We extend our sincere thanks to His Excellency for sharing these strategic words, which both enable and inspire the transformations and aspirations we seek to achieve. We are now honored to invite the Secretary General of the International Telecommunication Union, Ms. Doreen Bogdan-Martin, to share with us her vision, enriched by more than 25 years of the history of this symposium, as well as her aspirations for sustaining joint cooperation in building an inclusive digital future.
Minister of Communication and Information Technology, His Excellency Abdul Al-Swaha, CST Governor and GSR 2025 Chair, His Excellency Haitham Al-Awahi, ITU Development Director, Dr. Cosmos Zavazava, former ITU elected officials, former GSR chairs, Excellencies, colleagues, friends, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the 25th anniversary of the Global Symposium for Regulators. What a pleasure it is to be here with you in Riyadh. Thousands of years ago, beneath these desert skies, trading caravans moved across the sand, their paths lit by constellations of stars. Stars were a constant, a common reference that every traveler from any culture could trust. Those travelers could never have imagined that one day trade routes would be guided not by stars, but by artificial satellites enabled by radio spectrum and carried through global networks. But like those ancient travelers, we need a common understanding to navigate together, no matter how advanced our systems become. And that's what we celebrate today. 25 years of collaboration in this GSR. We are deeply grateful to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for hosting this special edition of the GSR. Since 2018, Saudi Arabia has invested $25 billion to expand its ICT workforce, helped ITU launch the world's first AI readiness framework, and built a regulator whose mandate spans both communications and space. This leadership is exactly the kind of vision that drives our collective progress. The chair of our first GSR back in 2000, Mr. Cuthbert Lekaukau from Botswana said, regulators can only be essential, successful if they cooperate with each other. That wisdom still anchors us 25 years later. And it's fitting that we mark this milestone in the same year that the ITU celebrates its 160th anniversary. Cooperation has been our guiding star from the very beginning. Excellencies, back in 2000, when the GSR began, the world was still dial-up internet. Fewer than 7% of people were online. Just 12% had a mobile, and fewer than 700 satellites were up in the sky. Less than half of the ITU members had regulatory bodies, and today that number stands at 166. And I remember those days very well because one of the first tasks that I had at the ITU way back when was to review regulatory and policy developments around the world. And I had to do that using paper, using fax machines, and yes, using CD-ROMs. It was painstaking work, but it was absolutely vital. And our first Trends in Telecommunication Reform report that was released in 1998 showed how countries were dealing with things like liberalization, licensing, spectrum, consumer protection, and how they were preparing for the known unknowns. Like those ancient caravans, survival and success depended on shared knowledge and cooperation. That philosophy shaped the GSR, planning for the known unknowns, ensuring equal opportunities for all, balancing international collaboration. And because of that, today, we see regulatory sandboxes in more than 100 countries, mainstream adoption of G5 regulatory models, and a global community of regulators here today that are driving digital transformation together. Excellencies, earlier today, as we just heard from our GSR chair, we adopted the best practice guidelines. They reflect lessons of 25 years. They reflect also a mindset shift for the future because your role has evolved. It's no longer just about telecom markets, it's about shaping how digital technologies transform every facet of life. You're not just regulators. You are builders of the digital ecosystem. Innovation is your mission, and collaboration is your fuel. And never has collaboration been more important than it is today in the age of artificial intelligence. Regulators face three defining challenges: speed, scale, and stakes. The first is speed. It's the speed of digital technologies, from artificial intelligence to quantum technologies, are advancing faster than regulation can. The real race must not be to build the biggest or the fastest systems, but to make these technologies work for everyone, everywhere, especially when we have a world of 2.6 billion people that are not connected. The second challenge is scale. Scale of our investment and infrastructure. And as the governor just mentioned earlier today, the ITU, with Saudi Arabia, released the Connecting Humanity Action Blueprint, a fresh assessment of what it's going to take to achieve universal, meaningful connectivity by 2030. With an estimated 2.6 to 2.8 trillion US dollars needed to close the investment divide, it's clear that if we don't scale investment and infrastructure everywhere, our goal of universal, meaningful connectivity will remain just that, a distant dream. The third challenge is stakes. Digital now shapes our economies, our schools, our hospitals, and our information ecosystems. As the stakes rise, regulation must be smarter. Not rules for their own sake, but a foundation for growth, for trust, and inclusion. Three challenges, one answer: cooperation. Excellencies, every sandbox, every enabling framework, every community that you connect, these are not just technical achievements. These are acts of trust building, multilateral cooperation, and bringing us closer to achieve sustainable development. So, what if we get this right? That's the question. What if we get this right? Picture this. It's the year 2050, and we're at the GSR's 50th anniversary. I might be here with a walking stick. I hope I'm here. We now have 8G networks linking people and intelligent machines at the speed of thought. Internet not only on the moon, but powering settlements on Mars. Affordable access for all, with privacy and cybersecurity embedded by design. Communities whose digital needs are not just met, but anticipated. And the workforce, well, no longer entirely human. AI digital colleagues work alongside of us. Machines handle the routine, and we humans bring creativity, empathy, and purpose. The Secretary General of that time, who's still human, looks back 25 years earlier and says they understood that the future wouldn't be regulated by accident. They shaped it together through cooperation, foresight, and the courage, ladies and gentlemen, to embrace change. Excellencies, just as ancient travelers navigated by the same stars from different continents, we now set the same digital standards across different nations, each a point of light in the constellation that we have built together. Our frameworks must remain as constant and as reliable as those stars. This 25th GSR is both a celebration and a recommitment to put people and planets at the heart of digital frameworks, to ensure technology builds bridges and not divides. To make our digital future safe, inclusive, and sustainable for all. The next 25 years will be defined by the frameworks that we build, the trust that we forge, and the choices that we make together. So let us meet the known unknowns with vision. Let us choose unity over fragmentation, and let us leave no one behind. Thank you very much. Shukran.
We thank Ms. Doreen Bogdan-Martin for these profound words which encourage us to continue our journey and sustain its distinctive impact towards an innovative digital future. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Cosmas Zavazava, Director of the Telecommunication Development Bureau, BDT, at the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, to share his rich insights and remarkable record of leading the past versions of GSR, which resulted in unifying international efforts to achieve the symposium's goals.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We feel very much at home. I want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, not only for the great facilities before us, but for the great hospitality extended to all the participants. Your Excellency Engineer Abdullah Al-Waha, Minister of Communications and Information Technology, our GSR 25 Chair, His Excellency Engineer Al-Ohali, Governor of the Communications, Space and Technology Commission, ITU Secretary General, Ms. Bogdan-Martin, all the ministers here present, members of the Diplomatic Corps, heads of regulatory authority, excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. It is my great honor to address you on this historic occasion when we are celebrating our, they call it, Silver Jubilee, or a quarter of a century of existence. We are here in Riyadh. Last year, we were in Kampala. The previous year, we were in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. It is thanks to the commitment and dedication of our member states that we are able to get together and do this. For a quarter of a century now, GSR has been the world's regulatory canvas, a cornerstone of global digital development, providing a steady hand through waves of unprecedented technological change. And today, we mark 25 years of GSR. We find ourselves at the dawn of a new era. GSR 25 is our collective response. It is where we define the future, moving from traditional oversight to actively building the digital ecosystem of tomorrow. Indeed, effective regulation is the difference between mere change and genuine development. In the spirit of our theme, Regulation for Sustainable Digital Development, I'm pleased to say we are making real, tangible, and impactful progress to touch people's lives. Over the course of today, I've already been impressed by the commitment you have all shown to that theme. I would especially like to thank our host, the Government of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and in particular, His Excellency Al-Sawa, Minister of Communications and Information Technology, and His Excellency Engineer Al-Ohali, Governor of the Communications Space and Technology, for making this possible and making this a unique experience for all of us here present. We are deeply grateful for the understanding efforts and for a partnership that extends beyond this event. Together, we have collaborated on critical global issues, on child online protection, on inclusion through the network of women in ITUD, and on tackling the challenge of e-waste. This morning we had a session of DRIN where we brought together all the world associations. It is thanks to the generous contribution by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, CST, that we managed to establish in 2023 this rapid growing movement. This spirit of action-oriented partnership continues. A powerful example is the new Global Economic Model Study, or GEMS, which we will soon release jointly with our host, CST. This project will develop a robust economic modeling tool to guide the investment decisions needed to effectively and sustainably connect the world. Looking ahead, our collaboration will break the new ground with the planned Global Innovation Center on quantum technologies right here in Riyadh. We were invited to help design that center, and we are proud to say that it is moving in the right direction. In this way, our hosts continue to be at the forefront of developing best practices. On that note, the GSR's best practice guidelines are surely very vital and a vital output, and thanks to all your efforts, because without you, there would be no best practice guidelines. And also, the guidelines serve as a chronicle of our digital age and the central role GSR has played in supporting regulators at every stage, every step, and every effort. Over the course of today, the story of GSR was told. It began in the year 2000, when our focus was on building the market. GSR was instrumental in the creation of the blueprint for liberalization, competition, and universal access, the very foundations of our connected world. In the mid-2000s, we shifted to building the networks. The guidelines tackled the complexities of next-generation networks, open access, and infrastructure sharing to roll out the broadband highways that power our economies. The mid-2010s constituted a third era as we addressed the rise of the digital ecosystem. The guidelines adapted to a world of cloud computing, mobile apps, and OTT players, championing digital financial inclusion and pioneering the concept of collaborative cross-sectoral regulation. Today, we stand at a new regulatory frontier. Our recent guidelines have addressed AI governance, the new space economy, the new space sustainability agenda, and the urgent need for the sustainable digital transformation, which is why that is our theme this week. Ladies and gentlemen, the experience of the past century has led us to a profound realization that the regulator of today and tomorrow cannot simply be the referee of a known game that sustains itself. Our regulators must be the architects of a world of transformation and actively intervene to ensure that it is sustainable. That is why GSR 25 guidelines are empowering regulators to become digital ecosystem builders. Ladies and gentlemen, what does that mean? It means having the tools and frameworks to build a bridge to the future, and building regulatory innovation for green digital ecosystem. That, in turn, means moving from a vertical sector-specific view to a horizontal one that cuts across our entire economies. It means fostering innovation, not as a side project, but as a core practice. It means forging fit-for-future frameworks that actively unleash innovation while safeguarding our societies. The ultimate goal is social and economic prosperity for all. Because our work is not just about technology, it is about people, unmasking technology and showing a human face. It is about impact. We are building resilient, inclusive, and innovative digital ecosystems, And in doing so, we are laying the groundwork for social and economic prosperity for all. We are creating the enabling environment for quality education, accessible healthcare, financial inclusion, and new economic opportunities for all. In a nutshell, we are ensuring